Hi, this is Dennis Stoffer with DSI Ministries today, and welcome to Hands in Action. Sorry you can't see me because I can't flip the video around like with this tablet I'm using to do this video with. So we're just going to have to work with what we got. As I came out here this morning to do my morning meditations, I noticed one of my trees here on the property, one of the branches or one of the trunks collapsed. And it really caught my attention because it's been here for a long time, and all of a sudden it just collapsed. And as I was studying it, the Lord began to speak to my life about it. And he said, "Den, look at this tree." And I came over here, I looked at it, and he said, "What's wrong with it?" I said, "It doesn't have a much trunk to support its weight with all the branches and tree fruit and all its leaves." And he said, "Yes, I want you to look at that real carefully." Began to show me that a lot of ministries are like this. They grow up quick, they grow lots of branches, they grow lots of leaves, and if it was a fruit tree, it would have lots of fruit on it. But all of a sudden, after one day, it just collapsed and had no strength to hold what was there. And he said a lot of ministries are like this. They grow up quick, they have lots of supporters, they have lots of strength, and all of a sudden, one day, they're gone. And I know that from Bible college. I've seen that happen a lot with my fellow people that went to college. They started out, they were going to go change the world. They got lots of supporters. They went here, there. Then they were just one day, they just were no longer on the field. And the Lord began to teach me that. He said He did not want DSI ministries like this. He did not want me to grow up quick, have lots and lots of stuff, and all of a sudden one day I collapsed. Then He showed me another tree on my property, and I've been kind of struggling with my trees here, my cocos. My little palm trees here. They were here when I bought the house. We had to move them. We had to relocate them from closer to here because of the house being constructed. But they've been slow to growth. I actually expected these cocos or palm trees to have been about 15 feet by now. They just been slow growing. And the Lord began to speak to me this morning about them because I've been wondering about it since I got back here. Like, why aren't these things growing? And the Lord first said they had to be relocated. They were in a place where they were planted. They were growing quick. And like my ministries, I'm not used to being in America, and I had to be relocated here to Guatemala. And just like the cocos, they didn't like to be retransplanted. It'd take them a long time to do what they're doing. And secondly, I expected them to be about 15 feet tall by now, but they're not. They've just been slow growing, uh, but they're strong. But I began to look at the trunk on this morning, and look at the trunk on this little thing. It's already probably 3 times the size of that other tree. And he said, "This is you." He said, "This is DSI ministry." Yes, you expected it to be like the other trees around here that were planted, all high and grown and big like the other tree that collapsed. But he said, in reality, this is you. The ministry is growing slow, the trunk is growing thin, and you can one day is going to be a mighty, mighty tree. He said, but first you have to have a strong trunk like we're looking at here today. And he says, do not get discouraged about your slow growth because you're going to be standing here just like this other tree. It collapsed. But he said, unlike you, you've been through the storms and you've been growing slow. You've been relocated. And this is how it's going for us. And that's my cat, Winston, that has been adopted by us here in DSI. And he keeps the rats away. But other than that, uh, that's what the Lord was teaching me today. And I tell you what, it's gave me much comfort. And if your life is like that, you wonder why you haven't grown, your ministry hasn't grown, maybe because the Lord is slow growing you too. You had to be retransplanted, you had to be a new territory, and God is letting you acclimate to your climate, getting strong at where you're at. And I believe that's what the Lord is doing for us today. Then the Lord then showed me my last tree. This is my favorite tree on the property. One of the reasons I bought the property is this big thing. Look at this tree. It was here when I bought it. It wasn't that big, but today is big. I just love this tree. I told my wife when we built the house not to cut it down. She actually wanted to build the house right there. And I said, no, don't touch this tree. But the Lord showed me with this tree, look at the roots coming off this thing. Uh, I mean, the root on this tree is as big as the trunk almost itself. And that's what the Lord was showing me. He said, you got to have these kind of roots in your life. Not only in your own life, not also in the ministry, your character. finances. He said, I have to grow the roots. And when one day those roots get strong, like my cocoas here, and they get strong enough, it will one day explode up to these levels of being greatness. And he said, one day DSI will be like this tree, large, great, and big. Thank you for watching my first video, and thank you and God bless.